Hi, everyone. My name is Suzanne Hume, and I'm the Educational Director and founder of CleanEarthForKids.org. And tonight we have some wonderful guests and our amazing youth panelists, youth and intern panelists here for you tonight. So I'd like to start by introducing Leanna.
Yes, thank you, Suzanne. Hi, everyone. My name is Leanna, and I'm on Team 1, which is Climate Action, Sustainability, and Renewable Energy. Tonight, we'll be sharing the Trump administration's rollbacks that harm our water, our air, public lands, climate, and endangered species, after we have introductions and a little bit more information. Next week, we will be reviewing the rollbacks and giving ways you can get involved and make a difference. If you are a student watching, you can earn community service by taking notes, creating infographics, art, music, video clips, poetry, and anything else about what you learned. More information is on our website at cleanforkids.org. At Clean for Kids, we have 6 teams, and social, racial, climate, and environmental justice are a part of all that we do. If you go to our contest page at cleanforkids.org, you will see a variety of contests like art, music, writing, poetry, dance, STEM projects, infographics, presentations, and more. We have many K-12 contests and challenges for everyone to take part in. If you like to write poetry, we have a contest for you. You can write poems about our air, water, land, health, animals, and our forests. We also have a contest called These Are the Hands. It recognizes and honors people who are working to make life better for others. Everyone is encouraged to participate in this contest and honor someone making a positive difference in your school, community, city, state, or in our world. You're welcome to draw and decorate a picture of a hand with symbols, words, and pictures to honor the person's work. Due to this so far, we have a selective 3 environmental champions to show our appreciation and gratitude. Can you please tell us the names of those selected and why you selected them?
Yes, thank you, Leanna. So I have drawn 3 hands. I drew a hand to thank our CleanEarthForKids.org board member, Jay Klopfenstein, for his decades of teaching people how to protect the environment and protect pollinators. Thank you, Jay. I also drew a hand for Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali. He worked in the EPA for 24 years, is on the Board of Union of Concerned Scientists, the National Wildlife Federation, and is a pioneer in the field of environmental justice. I also drew a hand for Caitlin McCoy, staff attorney at Harvard, who does the Harvard Regulation Tracker, which keeps track of Trump's 99 harmful rollbacks or cuts to protections for air and water, public lands, and endangered species. Thank you, Caitlin.
That's amazing, Judith. What hands will you be doing next?
So first, I will be making a hand for Earth Justice. They are fighting really hard for clean air and water. They have taken the Trump administration to the court many times. I will also make a hand for California Attorney General Xavier Becerra, who is also suing the Trump administration to reduce air and water pollution to protect our public lands. I would like to introduce Leanna, who will show us where to find the list of the 99 rollbacks and give us more information.
Thank you, Judith. So as we mentioned, these 99 rollbacks, it's important to acknowledge where we got our information from and how you can access this information as well. So our first source was using the New York Times article about the 99 rollbacks. It lays it out for you in different categories and so much more. And it also utilized 2 trackers, the Harvard and Columbia deregulation trackers that one of our staff attorneys here tonight, Caitlin, has discussed with us in the past. So thank you again, Judith, for talking about everything that you did. It's really important to acknowledge the work of so many people. And just as a quick note, Caitlin, would you like to talk about a little bit more about the Harvard tracker and what it does and what's the importance of it?
Yeah, well, thank you all for having me. Such a treat to be here. And thank you so much to Judith for her beautiful work. It's, when you grow up, once in a while, maybe you get somebody sending you an email saying, hey, that was a great thing you did. But it's very rare, I think that this is the first time it's ever happened that somebody made a piece of art expressing their appreciation for what I do. So that was really special to me. Well, the tracker it's a lot of work, and I think you all just mentioned that the New York Times has just done a recent update of their version. And so I worked along with my colleagues, we worked with Nadia at the New York Times for about like 2.5 weeks. We were on phone calls with her, going back and forth on email, helping her get everything right for their piece. And so yeah, it's a lot of work keeping it all up to date, and it just feels like there's stuff happening every day, but we know that it's important work so that we don't forget everything that's happening, that we can remember each thing that has happened, and hopefully one day put some of those things back in place or even improve them. And so that's why it continues to be an important project. And so not only the New York Times, but also there is a piece out this week in The Guardian, which is a website, a newspaper that is based in the United Kingdom, but they also have a US version. And so they produced a list. They just picked 75, I think, and they made their own list. But their list is interesting too if you ever want to look at it, because it has some really cool graphics that they did as part of it that's different from the New York Times. They made some really cool charts and stuff that you guys might be interested in. And there's another big tracker sort of piece coming out. I can't tell you what newspaper it's in, but we're working with them on that one too, just like we worked with the Times and the Guardian. So I can send that one to you guys too. But actually, I'll drop the link to the Guardian in the chat because I really like all the graphics that they did. It's so nice to see everything visually, and you guys are also so talented at doing that kind of stuff. So hopefully you appreciate.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. That is really appreciated, and it's wonderful to hear about that information and just kind of give everyone the basis of what the tracker is and why it's important. So thank you again for that. And thank you, Judith, for all the art that you do for Clean for Kids and other people out there. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce Elijah.
I'm a part of Clean Earth for Kids because I have asthma, and I feel every person has the right to clean air because we need that to survive. And I also feel we must work together to stop air pollution, and regulations like the Clean Air Act will help us do that. And I want to thank all of you for working for clean air, and that'll help us have a better future. And the Trump administration rollbacks, I feel like they're harmful to the air. And later I will be talking about rollbacks 8 and 17. Now I would like to introduce Alicia.
Thank you, Elijah. Hi, I'm Alicia. I care about having a clean earth, and I don't like how coal power plants and factories are bumping fossil fuels and creating more pollution into the air and water and harming people and animals. And now with the Trump administration rollbacks, the amount of pollution is so much worse. I'd like to show my poster to represent how fossil fuels are processed and harm our water and air. I'm on team 2. I write stories about animals and how we need to protect them from air and water pollution. We need to protect our animals. The Trump administration rollbacks cut protections for animals and public lands. Later, I will be talking about rollbacks 10 and 60. I'd like it to introduce Courtney.
Hi, my name is Courtney. I'm on Team 3, Clean Air, because I have a 2-month-old baby. I want her, along with other babies in her generation, to grow and have a healthy development without the interference of polluted air. So over the past few weeks, I've done a great deal of research covering air pollution and pregnant women. What I've discovered was very astonishing. For starters, environmental injustice is made up by lower economic status. These individuals make up this population are socially and economically disadvantaged. People who are considered to be of this group are often subjected to higher air pollution levels. The more heavily polluted areas are typically ideal for what someone of a lower economic status can afford. Pregnant women within these communities are most vulnerable and suffer the most from air pollution. Air pollution amongst pregnant women have contributed to pregnancy complications. It has been proven that air pollution associates with preeclampsia, which is high blood pressure during pregnancy, and signs of damage to other organ systems. These maternal complications can endanger the pregnancy and lead to premature birth or low birth weights in babies. Air pollution has also been linked to other fetal growth restrictions that put babies at risk for development of diseases later on in life. So, as we all know, environmental pollution exposure during pregnancy is known to be a risk factor for preterm birth. During the research that I've done, I came across a very interesting study that was done in Fresno, California. This study looked at associations between multiple environmental exposures and the risk of preterm birth. One of the environmental factors out of many were taken into account included air pollution. Social factors included socioeconomic status and race or ethnicity. The results of this study showed the risk of preterm births were twice as likely for those exposed to higher versus low levels of pollution. The associations were stronger among early preterm births in areas of low socioeconomic communities. Recognizing air pollution as a major public issue is very important to all of us. Continued air quality improvement could help protect vulnerable and disadvantaged populations and further reduce environmental inequalities. Now I would like to introduce Jillian.
Hi everyone, my name's Jillian. I'm on both Team 3 and Team 5, but I'm a public health major, so I kind of work with all teams. I work with Team 5 to stop pesticides and toxic chemicals because our community's health, our children's health depends on it. And with that, I'd like to introduce Jonah.
Hi everyone, my name is Jonah and I work on Team 4, working to protect clean water in our lakes, streams, and oceans. Trump's 99 rollbacks have significantly put our oceans and our streams at threat of contamination with pollutants, and that's something I care about a lot. And with that, I'd like to introduce Anna.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Anna, and I have a background in statistics. With this, I want to make sure that people understand the statistics to ignite a call to action. For example, in this infographic here, you can see that 1 minute of car exhaust has more carbon monoxide than 3 packs of cigarettes. And this statistic can help people remember to turn their engines off when they are parked. So that is me. And next, I would like to introduce Catherine.
Thanks, Anna. Hi, I'm Catherine with Team 2, working to protect public lands, wildlife, endangered species, and plants and gardens.
Thanks so much, everyone. Now we're going to get into the main chunk of what we're going to be doing tonight, which is talking about enlisting the 99 rollbacks by the Trump administration. And tonight we're joined by a few guests to help us do that. And next week we'll be joined by even more because we know that in making a difference, knowledge is power, and we need to be informed and check our sources and work for change. And as Leanna said, the article for these 99 rollbacks is on the homepage of our website, cleanearthforkids.org. And with that, could you please get us started, Leanna?
Yes, of course, Jonah. Thank you. So the first rollback we're going to be discussing, or just briefly saying, is rollback number 1, which weakened rules for fuel economy and greenhouse gas standards for passenger cars and light trucks. This is dangerous because of greenhouse gases, expedites climate change. Rollback number 2 revoked California's power to set stricter tailpipe emission standards than the federal government, and this is there's a lawsuit for this as well.
Rollback number 3 is the limiting mercury from coal power plants.
Rollback number 4 states now they can set their own standards instead of the clean power plant that cut pollution and saved lives.
Rollback number 5 canceled a requirement for oil and gas companies to report methane emissions. Methane is a greenhouse gas, and these emissions are harmful to our climate because it's directly linked to climate change.
Rollback number 6 revised and partially repealed a rule limiting methane emissions on public lands, including intentional venting, and flaring from drilling operations. So now even more methane can be released.
Rollback number 7, weakened a rule designed to limit toxic emissions from major industrial polluters. Now, big polluters can stop using pollution reduction technology, special filters, and monitors once they meet the new standards.
Rollback number 8 limited a program that protected communities from increases of pollution from new power plants, and this rollback is harmful because we must protect communities from air pollution.
Rollback number 9 changed rules on how refineries monitor pollution in surrounding communities. Without monitoring, no community is safe.
Rollback number 10 weakened a rule that reduces air pollution in national parks and wilderness areas.
Rollback number 11 weakened oversight of some state plans for reducing air pollution in national parks.
Rollback number 12 cut air pollution regulations for 4 power plants that burned coal waste.
Rollback number 13 repealed rules to reduce leaking and venting of powerful greenhouse gases from large refrigeration and air conditioning systems.
Rollback number 14 told all agencies in the federal government to stop using the social cost of carbon in their calculations, which ignores the long-term benefits of reducing carbon dioxide emissions.
Rollback number 15 withdrew guidance directing federal agencies to include greenhouse gas emissions in environmental reviews.
Rollback number 16 revoked a goal to cut federal government greenhouse gas emissions by 40% over the next 10 years.
Rollback number 17 repealed a requirement that state and regional authorities track tailpipe emissions from vehicles on federal highways, and this rollback is harmful because we must monitor air pollution.
Number 18 stopped the summertime ban on gasoline blend of 15% ethanol, which increased smog. And also number 19 changed rules to allow states and the EPA to take longer to develop and approve plans that cut landfill methane emissions.
This one is about withdrawing a proposed rule that reduces pollutants like air pollution that come from sewage treatment plants, which we often call public treatment works.
Rollback number 21 proposed weakening requirements for companies to monitor and repair methane leaks at oil and gas facilities.
Okay, so this one is about methane emission standards for oil and gas facilities, reducing volatile organic compounds, which can be cancer causing.
Rollback number 23 submitted notice to withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement, and rollback number 24 proposed reducing carbon dioxide emission standards for new, modified, and rebuilt power plants.
Rollback number 25, reduce or end fines for power plant startups, shutdowns, and malfunction emissions.
Rollback 26 proposed limiting individuals and communities' challenge of EPA-issued pollution permits before a panel of agency judges.
Rollback number 27 made significant cuts to 2 national monuments in Utah to allow mining and drilling, and recommended cuts to several more.
Rollback number 28 lifted a freeze on new coal leases on public lands.
And number 29 lifted the ban on drilling in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, overturning 60 years of protections for the largest remaining stretch of wilderness in the US.
Thank you. And number 30 is approved construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline, less than a mile from the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation.
Rollback 31 canceled water pollution regulations for fracking on federal lands.
Rollback number 32 dropped a proposed rule that would require mines to prove that they could pay to clean up future pollution from their mining activities. And rollback 33 similarly withdrew a requirement that oil rig owners in the Gulf of Mexico had to prove that they could pay for removing those oil rigs once they stopped producing.
Rollback number 34 moved the permitting process for some projects that cross international borders, like oil pipelines, from the State Department to the Office of the President, existing the permit from a environmental review.
Rollback number 35 limits how the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission considers the indirect effects of greenhouse gas emissions and environmental reviews of pipelines.
Rollback number 36 revoked the order that preserved ocean, coastal, and water of the Great Lakes to focus on energy production and economic growth. Rollback 37 loosened offshore drilling safety regulations that were put in place after the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010. This included reducing testing requirements for the blowout prevention systems put in place to prevent oil spills like it in the future. Rollback 38 proposed opening most of America's coastal waters to offshore oil and gas drilling. And Rollback 39 repealed the rule for companies paying royalties for the use of oil, gas, and coal leases on federal lands.
Rollback number 40 proposed streamlining the approval process for drilling for oil and gas in national forests.
Rollback number 41 canceled restrictions on mining in Bristol Bay, Alaska. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has denied the permit for a proposed project called the Pebble Mine, noting it could have substantial environmental impacts.
Rollback number 42 proposed revising regulations on offshore oil and gas exploration by floating vessels in the Arctic. And these were regulations that were put in place after a 2013 accident where an oil rig ran aground on the coast of Alaska.
Rollback number 43 proposed opening more than 2/3 of the Alaska National Petroleum Reserve for oil drilling. The reserve is more than 23 million acres, the nation's largest single piece of public land, and one of the most biologically important regions in the world for migratory birds, and other wildlife. Number 44 proposed lifting a policy that banned logging and road construction in Tongass National Forest in Alaska.
Rollback number 45 approved the Keystone XL pipeline without an environmental review.
Rollback 46 removed a ban of seismic air guns that are used for exploring the ocean floor for gas and oil in the Atlantic Ocean, and these guns can kill marine life and disrupt fisheries.
Rollback number 47 weakened the National Environmental Protection Policy Act, NEPA, one of the country's most significant environmental laws, in order to speed up the approval of public infrastructure projects such as roads, pipelines, and telecommunication networks. The new rules shorten the time frame for completing environmental studies, limit the types of projects subject to review, and no longer require federal agencies to account for a project's cumulative effects on the environment, such as climate change.
Rollback number 48 revoked flood standards for federal infrastructure projects that required the government to account for sea level rise and other climate change effects. Rollback number 49 relaxed the environmental review process for these federal infrastructure projects as well.
Rollback number 50 overturned a guidance that ended U.S. government financing for new coal plants overseas, except in rare circumstances.
And rollback number 51 revoked a directive for federal agencies to minimize impacts on water, wildlife, land, and other natural resources when approving development projects. And rollback number 52 revoked an order promoting climate resilience in the northern Bering Sea region of Alaska, which withdrew local waters from oil and gas leasing and established a tribal advisory council to consult on local environmental issues.
So number 53 reversed an update to the Bureau of Land Management's public land use planning process.
Rollback number 54 withdrew an order to consider climate change in the management of natural resources in national parks. And rollback number 55 restricted most Interior Department environmental studies to 1 year in length and at a maximum of 150 pages each, citing a need to reduce paperwork. And rollback number 56 withdrew a number of the Interior Department's climate change and conservation policies that the agency said could burden the development or utilization of domestically produced energy sources.
Rollback number 57 eliminated the use of a planning system that was designed to minimize harm from oil and gas activity on sensitive landscapes across the United States. And these sensitive landscapes included national parks. Rollback 58 withdrew policies that were designed to maintain or ideally improve natural resources affected by federal infrastructure projects.
Rollback 59 proposed plans to speed up the environmental review process for Forest Service projects.
Rollback number 60 changed the way the Endangered Species Act is applied, making it more difficult to protect wildlife from long-term threats posed by climate change.
Number 61 ended the automatic application of full protections for threatened plants and animals. The classification one step below endangered in the Endangered Species Act.
Rollback 62 relaxed environmental protections for salmon and smelt in California's Central Valley, and this was in order to free up water for farmers.
Rollback number 63 overturned a ban on the use of lead ammunition and fishing tackle on federal lands.
Number 64 overturns a ban on the hunting of predators in Alaskan Wildlife Refuge. Number 65 reversed rule that barred using bait such as grease-soaked donuts to lure and kill grizzly bears, among other sport hunting practices that many people consider too extreme on some lands in Alaska.
Rollback 66 amended fishing regulations to loosen restrictions on the harvest of a number of different types of fish species. Rollback 67 removed restrictions on commercial fishing in a protected marine preserve that's southeast of Cape Cod, Massachusetts. This marine preserve was home to rare corals, a number of endangered sea animals, and many species of fish as well. It also suggested changing the size of 2 other marine protected areas in the Pacific Ocean. Rollback 68 proposed revising limits on the number of endangered marine mammals and sea turtles that can be unintentionally killed or injured with sword fishing nets on the West Coast. And Rollback 69 loosened fishing restrictions intended to reduce the bycatch of Atlantic bluefin tuna.
Rollback number 70 overturned a ban on using parts of migratory birds in handicrafts.
Rollback number 71 proposed weakening critical habitat protections under the Endangered Species Act. Number 72 opened 9 million acres of Western land to oil and gas drilling by weakening habitat protections for the sage grouse.
Rollback 73 scaled back pollution for certain tributaries and wetlands that were regulated under the Clean Water Act.
Rollback 74 revoked a rule that prevented coal companies from dumping mining debris into local streams. And Rollback 75 proposed a rule exempting certain types of power plants from parts of an EPA rule, limiting toxic discharge from power plants into public waterways.
Rollback 76 weakened the portion of the Clean Water Act. Now fossil fuel facilities and pipelines permits can be issued federally over state objection if the projects don't meet local water quality standards.
Extended the lifespan of unlined coal ash holding areas, which can spill their contents because they lack a protective underlay.
Number 78 canceled groundwater protections for certain uranium mines and recently proposed opening up 1,500 acres outside the Grand Canyon for uranium mining for nuclear energy. This action is harmful because uranium mining poisons water and air and also damages the lungs, kidneys, and bones.
Rollback 79 proposed doubling the time allowed to remove lead pipes from water systems with high levels of lead.
Rollback number 80 proposed a new rule that would allow unlined coal ash ponds previously deemed unsafe to continue operating.
Rollback 81 proposed a regulation making it easier for companies to claim that large deposits of recycled coal ash would not harm the environment.
Rollback 82 rejected a proposed ban on chlorpyrifos, a neurotoxic pesticide linked to developmental disabilities in children.
Rollback 83 narrowed the scope of a 2016 law mandating safety assessments or potentially toxic chemicals like dry cleaning solvents. EPA will only look at direct exposure and leave out harms from indirect exposure, such as from air or water contamination.
Rollback 84 reversed a rule that required braking system upgrades for trains deemed high hazard that hauled flammable liquids like oil and ethanol. And Rollback 85 changed safety rules to allow for trains to transport highly flammable liquefied natural gas.
Rollback 86 removed copper, filter cake, and electronics manufacturing byproduct made of heavy metals and cyanide from the hazardous waste list.
Rollback 87 rolled back most of the requirements of a 2017 rule aimed at improving safety at sites that use hazardous chemicals. And these original restrictions were made after a chemical plant exploded in Texas.
Rollback 88 proposed limiting pesticide application buffer zones that are intended to protect farmworks and others from accidental exposure.
Rollback 89 announced reviewing a rule that would increase the amount of coal dust allowed in mines. Rollback number 90 repealed energy efficiency standards for light bulbs that would have nearly doubled the number of light bulbs subject to regulation in 2020. The Energy Department also blocked the next phase of efficiency standards for general purpose bulbs already subject to regulation.
Rollback 91 changed a 25-year-old policy to allow coastal replenishment projects to use sand from protected ecosystems.
Rollback 92 limited funding of environmental and community development projects through corporate settlements of federal lawsuits.
Rollback 93 stopped payments by the federal government to the Green Climate Fund, which is a United Nations program that helps poorer countries reduce their own carbon dioxide emissions.
Rollback number 94 reversed restrictions on the sale of plastic water bottles in national parks, designed to cut down on litter, despite a Park Service report that the effort had worked.
Rollback 95 proposed limiting the studies used by the EPA for rulemaking to only those that make data publicly available.
Rollback 96 proposed changes to the way that cost-benefit analyses are conducted under public policy, like the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and other environmental statutes.
And rollback number 97 proposed withdrawing efficiency standards for residential furnaces and commercial water heaters designed to reduce energy use. Similarly, rollback number 98 created a product category that would allow some dishwashers to be exempt from energy efficiency standards.
And lastly, rollback number 99 initially withdrew and then delayed a proposed rule that would inform car owners about fuel-efficient replacement tires. Car tires that are filled properly use less gasoline and prevent pollution and greenhouse gases.
Thank you so much, everyone, for letting us know about these really horrific rollbacks by the Trump administration. We're so grateful that Caitlin McCoy can be here with all of her hard work on the Harvard Tracker, keeping us up to date about these rollbacks. So thank you so much, and thank you to the beautiful art, Judith's beautiful art, and everyone here for all of your important work and all the important things that you do. I know that Leanna has a few questions for Caitlin and Yusuf that she would like to ask. But before I go to that, I would like to ask Alicia a question. So Alicia, tonight was your first time presenting this important information, and I would just like your feedback and your reaction when you see these rollbacks by the Trump administration. How does it make you feel? And then also, how does it make you feel to know that people like Caitlin and Yusuf and all of us with Clean Earth for Kids are working very hard to, to do something about it? So Alicia, we'd like to hear from you.
Thank you, Miss Suzanne. It was really surprising to see these rollbacks. I didn't know it was this bad, but the pollution and the climate change. We have to make a change in order to save our environment. pollution is not going to get better unless we do something about it. So I think we need to start making changes now. So for the future, we can prepare them for our younger generations for the future.
Yeah, for sure. And so meeting Caitlin tonight from Harvard and Yusuf and seeing, a few of the other people you haven't met yet with Clean Earth for Kids, can you talk about the hope that you feel and ideas for the future?
I feel a lot of hope because seeing everybody, I can see you guys really care about pollution and Clean Earth for Kids. And I just really want to say I appreciate all of you. And you guys are doing a great job. Ideas are to stop mining so much coal, so much oil and natural gas and burning fossil fuels. That would help us a lot right now, and start finding more ways to produce energy for ourselves. And just seeing how hard you guys work on that, it's really amazing and inspiring.
Well, we think pretty highly of you and your brother as well, and our other friends with NAACP, and Debbie and everybody working so hard. Sonia's not on the call tonight, but there's so many wonderful people out there. Dr. Ali is a member of NAACP as well, and we at Clean Earth for Kids are so happy to sit on the Environmental Justice Commission. So we're excited to do that. And we know that you will rise up in leadership, and we're just so pleased to have you. So I'd like to now ask a question of Elijah. So Elijah, I'm going to ask you a question. So Elijah, tonight was your first time doing a panel discussion, and you did amazing, like your sister and everyone tonight. So as a person with asthma, I'd like you to give a message to all of those people that aren't taking air pollution seriously. So could you please give them a message that they can remember and why it's important for us to work really hard every day to reduce pollution for people with asthma like you?
For all people not taking air pollution seriously, I'd just like to say that, well, first of all, it could be a very dire mistake. Well, it is, because in the future that'll really affect us, and it's really affecting us right now. And if we don't take it seriously, it's just gonna keep on polluting our earth until there's not much life left in it. So I think if we help get rid of it now, then that'll help us in the future and with other things as well. So.
And so you had expressed thank you before when you said thank you to the people working so hard to stop this every day. So I'd love to give you an opportunity to tell them that why this is so important to you and extend another thank you.
Okay. Well, as you already heard, the main reason this is important to me is because I have asthma, and I don't think it's a wise idea for the Trump administration and other administrations to keep polluting the earth. And I just want to say thank you to all of you guys. I feel you guys are leading us into a better future, and thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. An excellent job tonight. And just so everyone knows, those questions, they had no idea what I was going to be asking them in advance. So great thinking on your feet and being flexible and working so well with everyone. So way to present and way to go. Excellent job, guys, tonight. So Leanna, I'd like for you to ask the questions that you would like to ask to Caitlin.
Yeah, of course. And I just want to say thank you to everyone tonight who tuned in, as well as everyone who's on the panel today. It really means a lot to have everyone come together and discuss such an important issue, especially right now, more than any, we need good environmental policies, and we don't have that right now. And it's important to inform the public of such. And I know it can seem a little bit overwhelming. 99 rollbacks is a lot. We went through it pretty fast, but it is a lot of information to absorb. So that leads me to my question for Caitlin. Just for the general public, which rollbacks do you personally believe are the most impactful on the general public?
Ooh, well, thanks for that question. I have to say, it's not my first time getting that question, and I always have a really hard time answering it. I'm not going to be quite as smooth as Elijah and Alicia have been tonight in answering the questions right off the top of their heads. This one depends, the answer to this depends so much on where you live in the United States and how you live. What type of community do you live in? And where are you living? You know, some of the water quality rollbacks might affect you. For example, if you're someone who lives in a rural area and you're not connected to a water system, so you're getting your water from well water. So any regulations that affect water could affect the water that you're drinking because you're not pulling your water from a system that is being managed and treated by like a city, for example. You're just left to hope that everyone around you is following the rules and the permits that they're supposed to follow so that the water that you pull from your well is clean. So then if you're somebody like that, I might say that's the one that affects you the most. But let's say that you live in a city and maybe you even live in an area that's pretty close to a freeway. And so you might live by a lot of cars. Then anything to do with the car rollbacks are really going to affect you. And you're going to be affected by a lot of air quality rollbacks. Or if you might live near some big facilities, like I know, you know, in Southern California, or if you live in Texas, you might live sort of near a lot of the refineries or other chemical facilities. And so you'll be really affected by air quality rollbacks. I know you guys mentioned the one about fence line monitoring that has been changed. You know, that's an important one. So it all very much depends. Are you in the city? Are you, you know, out in the country in more of a rural area? And how are you living? You know, do you live in an apartment building? Do you live in a house? All of those things change which rollbacks may affect your life on an everyday basis more seriously. But every rollback, you know, affects somebody.
Yeah, that was a wonderful way to describe it. I think that is important to recognize that some rollbacks will impact more people than other. So thank you for mentioning that, and I thank you for coming tonight. It really means a lot to have you back. We always love having you, and it's always such a treat to listen to what you have to say. And you're doing so much important work, and all of us at Clean for Kids and everybody just really admires what you do. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys. I admire you guys so much. I was really amazed by all of you running through all that stuff tonight. And I really liked Alicia's poster, and everyone is, I can see, working really hard and learning so much. So congrats to all of you guys.
Thank you. And now, speaking of how it affects certain communities, when we think about these rollbacks, we think about how it impacts, you know, more generally the environment, but we also have to realize how it's going to impact certain people in certain communities, and how we kind of see the interconnection of climate justice with racial, social, and environmental justice. So that brings me to Yusuf, who's doing a lot of important work with racial, social justice. Could you kind of just briefly discuss how that it's in itself is important and how it connects to environmental justice and everything that's going on with these rollbacks?
Yes, like was just said previously, that it really depends on what part of the environment you live in, whether it's rural, or if it's city, inner urban. And this environmental rollbacks in the urban sector really affects people of color. Why is that? In people of color, you'll see that they have arteries through there with high, heavy traffic of heavy trucks, very industrial. And these rollbacks allow these pollutants to come in the air. And a person like Elisha, he has this asthma. Sometimes people have reactive airway disease and things of that nature. They think it's by accident, but actually the environmental pollutants are triggers to these, and they can be threatening. As Elijah can tell you, that not having air, not a simple statement. It's something critical for your life. Known this, but a person with asthma, a person is choking from a critical airway disease, they're going to feel like doom is upon them. So we have to make sure that we put people over profits. These rollbacks are horrible. They pollute our air, they pollute our water, they pollute all of the things that we need to survive. So in a community like our Black and Brown brothers and sisters, or in a community like our Indigenous brothers and sisters who rely on surface water and subterranean water, these rollbacks are really critical. So we want to see those reversed, of course. But when each rollback happens, it affects certain communities than others. A lot of people think we live in one complete environment. It's just a single environment. But we have micro environments throughout our environment. The environment that our Indigenous brothers and sisters live in is a micro environment to our macro environment, the larger environment. The same thing with people of color in low income areas where they live near a lot of exhaust, a lot of industrial plants and things of this nature. So it really has a social justice import, because these communities have no way to mitigate those except for changing their environment completely. And since not everyone can afford to do that, we have to make changes to the industry. We have to make changes to the stricter regulation, auto, truck, tires. You even mentioned tires. All of these things, we need stricter regulations to make sure that we protect everyone in whatever complexion their microenvironment has.
Thank you so much, Yusuf, for making that connection for the audience and others. I think it's truly really important to recognize that connection. I think it also makes these rollbacks more personal. It's not just, the climate change and everything. It's people's lives at stake, people's ways of getting water and air, which are literally our life. We need them. And it's really important to make that connection. So thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do. It's really important. Racial, social, environmental justice are so crucial. And thank you so much again.
Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be connected to all of these great people with so many ideas and working so hard. We have our board member here, Jay Klopfenstein, and Judith drew him a hand, so you guys have all seen it. So our question for you, Jay, you worked so hard, been a teacher for decades, and just made had so many kids, and people learned so much from you. So I would like to ask you, what is your greatest joy in the work that you're doing now with these youth?
Well, my greatest joy is watching this panel today. Just amazing that you're working on the rollbacks. The media is not focused on them, and climate change is certainly the greatest risk we have that's touching all the issues on the earth. And so with these 99 or 100 rollbacks, it's amazing what you're doing and looking at the risk that it's causing all around the planet. I think we need to look to the youth. Certainly you've got a handle on it in this panel for solutions and broadcasting out that we need to work on that as a nation. We are, with this administration, taking a back seat. The rest of the world signed up, almost 200 nations promoting the idea of the Paris Agreement. And they're putting monies where their mouth is. They're out there working. So thank you for challenging all of us on the panel. Thank you for all your effort, and let's keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, Jay, and thank you to all of you. I'd like to just ask really quickly, and then you can say a name of who will be going after you. So I'll start with Leanna. And the question that I'm going to ask you is, what motivates you to keep going? We know that this has been so difficult. You guys are really in the trenches. You understand the severity of what's happening and why we need to take action. So what continues, or what helps you keep going? What helps you get up in the morning and put your boots on and get ready to go? So Leanna, I'll start with you. Or you can talk about something you're working on that you're excited about, or whatever you'd like. But I'll start with Leanna. Go ahead.
Thank you, Suzanne. So climate anxiety is a real thing. It is something not many people talk about, but it is something that a lot of people, especially within the environmental sector, deal with. And it's important to recognize that it is scary, the route that we are going down, but if we can at least do one thing, like at least like 5 minutes out of your day to do something, like maybe read something or, educate yourself a little bit or talk to somebody else about it, it's going to start this domino of change, because once you educate yourself and you start learning things about yourself and talking about it to other people, other people get inspired, and then it just kind of goes forward. And even if it's a little change, I feel like it leads into these bigger changes. And I don't know, like just knowing how climate change is like this blanket statement, and how it goes into things such as like racial justice, social justice, and so many other aspects, just public health and so many other things, how it all interconnects. That's really what keeps me going and motivates me to do the work that we do, is because it's not just climate change we're fighting so many other things. And when we're able to address so many of the problems that are associated with climate change, we can cause like I said again, a domino effect of positive change that we really need, especially now more than ever. So that's, I don't know, just and seeing the youth and everything, especially my generation, really, get educated and really get involved, that really inspires me, because I feel like we're doing what no other generations have done before us at such at this scale. And it really inspires me and motivates me to keep doing what we do.
Great. You want to call on somebody else?
Yeah, sure. Would you like to go?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned before, I'm a public health major. So what really keeps me going is just understanding that environmental change is linked so closely to the health of our communities. It's always inspired me, especially coming from a family with people who have chronic illnesses and having a chronic illness myself. I get up every day to make sure that I can make my health and the health of everyone else better. How about Jonah?
Sure. Thanks, Jillian. Sorry it's so dark on me, everybody. I'm outside. What keeps me motivated is one of the rollbacks we talked about today was that Trump is trying to open up all of the coast to oil drilling practices. And given how the risk of oil spills and just even the aesthetically, it's so ugly to see oil rigs out in the middle of the ocean. That's just one example of how Trump rollbacks could potentially affect my life personally, and that would just be such a detriment to the beauty of the ocean. So yeah, that's just one of the rollbacks, and it does make me really motivated to help stop it. And I guess I'll pass off to Catherine.
Thanks, Jonah. That was good. That also motivates me. Something else that motivates me is working alongside strong women that empower me every day. Something else that motivates me is protecting forests. I'm really passionate in forests and trees and all of that. So yeah, you guys all inspire me every day, and I'm lucky to be working with such smart people. We're in this together. Power to the people. I would now like to pass it to Caitlin.
Well, this can be kind of tough. As Leanna was saying, sometimes there are really hard days, but I think one thing that definitely keeps me motivated is trying to imagine a better future, which can be really hard when we're in the middle of so much bad stuff. But when I work with other people, there's a group of people that I work with, for example, on a big project, and a lot of them do really interesting mapping and visual things about the future. And so they create, these incredible visuals of neighborhoods where people can walk and bike, and there's public transit, and there's clean air, and it's this better world that I hope is out there waiting for us, and that I try every day to work towards, and that I know all of you are trying every day to work towards too. So that definitely keeps me motivated. So I will now pass it off to Courtney.
So thank you, Caitlin. What also motivates me is I am also a public health major. I plan to do my graduate studies in public health. I'm very passionate about health. I grew up with eczema, which is a skin immunity disorder. Also, I have chronic asthma. I just had a baby not too long, like a few months ago. And so just making sure that, she grows up with like clean air to breathe is very important to me, because I know she's going to be faced with having eczema, which she's been recently diagnosed with. And then if she is faced with the challenges of asthma, I want it to be as less difficult on her as possible. And clean air is a very important factor, especially with like pregnant mothers out there right now, or expecting mothers. It's very important for them to have clean air because they're the most vulnerable population to it. And even communities that are like live near, I guess, more polluted areas. So that's what motivates me. It's just the health of others. And I will pass it on to Judith.
This is a tough one. Okay, so I like to become. I would like to become a scientist in the future, like a medical laboratory scientist, and they basically focus on like examining what's wrong with that person, like if they have tuberculosis or they're diabetic, like my mom. But I just like want to see what's wrong with that person, and I just want to like help just help a person, I guess. Like find out what's wrong with them and just help them like live a healthier life and stuff like that. So yeah, mostly about health. Yeah.
Judith, did you want to call on Alicia?
Oh, sure. Yeah, Alicia, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Something that motivates me every day is that I have a lot of hope, and many people inspire me. And I just think of the people that aren't as fortunate as I am. I just want to help them and help them get through whatever they're going through. So I just think about the less fortunate, and it drives me and it motivates me. So I'm going to call on Elijah.
What motivates me is the impact that what I do right now will impact the future, and I want to make the biggest impact I can, so people in the future can just benefit from it in so many ways. One of the ways will probably be like building stuff because I want to be an engineer, but I'd also like to help figure out solutions with climate change and stuff that's going on right now. But yeah, that's what motivates me.
Yeah, and Jay, that's on our board, is also works with the Green Building Council and tries to make buildings more efficient and all of that great stuff. So Jay, do you want to talk about what motivates you?
Well, I think reaching out like we're doing here, either on social media or directly by speaking or joining groups and listening to what they have to say, responding, seeing if we can work together for solutions. Yeah, the U.S. Green Building Council, I recommend any age can take this certificate program. It's called the Green Classroom Professional Certificate Program. And it only costs about $25. And it's kind of the staircase or the first step on the ladder to getting certifications for auditing buildings, taking air quality sensors, auditing water, that kind of thing. So it's the first step in getting certification in LEED. LEED is a building certification that is in tune with the environment and pollutes, well, it doesn't pollute as much or doesn't pollute at all in many cases, especially if it's a zero waste building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Jay. And so we're happy to sponsor anyone on this panel and any of our youth or interns and others to get the Green Building Certificate. So Elijah, we would be happy to pay for that and to mentor you through that process. So I remember when Janice first went to UCSB and saw their awards for having for LEED certificate. She has on our website, she has her hand up and that certificate there. So we're missing all of our wonderful people who are not with us tonight. So shout out to Janice and Darren. No, we have two Darrens. So we have Dr. Darren, right, who's going to be a doctor with us. And then we have Darren, who is a math person and does lots of our videos. We also, big shout out to Gabby. And we're missing lots of you guys tonight taking tests and things, but we're sending our love when you watch this later to all of our interns. John Williams, we had the opportunity to see him yesterday, our intern from Georgetown that is best friends with Jonah and living in Pennsylvania, talking to us about fracking and also talking to us about the social cost of carbon. He's someone who is helping us divest. So is Jillian. Shout out to Neem. And reminder to everybody that this Saturday is International Student Divest Day with Princeton and Yale. Yeah. So we're happy to be co-sponsoring that event. And also shout out to all the San Diego Green New Deal and everybody working everywhere. And thank you, Leanna, for being on that. And so many of you guys and that are out there are going to be watching this later. Thank you so much. So Yusuf, thank you so much for starting All Things Good, North County, starting the Equity and Justice Coalition here in North County. Can you talk about your goals for bringing people together and give us a little bit of that? And then you'll close us out and tell us good night. And I'll stay on the call, but you guys will probably hop off. And I'm sending you guys great big hugs. And again, thank you so much, Caitlin, for being here. We think about you every day because we're working on these rollbacks. And so you'll have to give, I know you work with the New York Times, you'll have to let them know this will be on YouTube and how we look at we're working hard on these rollbacks, as you are as well, so hard, learning all about them and thinking about ways that we can do that. So we look forward to seeing you again and all of that. So Yusuf, thank you again so much for all that you're doing to bring people together. Would you talk about your organization, the goals of that, a way that we can help, and then close us out? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The organization is called North County for Equity and Justice, and our motto is All Things Good North County. And in that, we see, for example, Clean Earth for Kids as being one of those good things. And we want to make sure that Clean Earth for Kids can connect with other people who are doing things that are interrelated. So for example, Clean Earth in the clean environment it also affects our homeless population, right? Because they live out in the environment. So they may want to connect with people who are doing that kind of work. So it's a way to reach across the table. We have, like we talked about, people in low income areas, micro environments, and they may want to work with people who work in that area, dealing with social justice and racial justice in that area. We have people who deal with mental health. We have people who deal with indigenous issues, Asian Pacific Islander issues. All of these issues are really the same issue. And that issue is to be a good neighbor. And that's what I love about, I want to take it back for kids, is that whenever I'm on a presentation for Clean Earth for Kids, all I see is the support of neighbors, people in low income, people in the indigenous, but not only that, because those are human beings. We can readily identify ourselves as neighbors, but the neighbors, they also put these wonderful kids. They also put the neighbors of plants. Our plants and trees are our neighbors. Our insects, our pollinators, our birds, our fish. It never fails. Whenever I'm on a presentation like this, one of our neighbors is up here and not just a human neighbor. So this Clean Earth, this environmental work we do is a good neighbor policy. It comes deep into my faith tradition belief, many other faith tradition beliefs, and even if you are an unchurched person who doesn't have a faith tradition that you follow, the good neighbor aspect still is in your psyche, it's in your being. So this whole concept of this good neighbor, looking out for one another, no matter who you are, that we're one family and this earth is one big neighborhood, is the thing that drives us together to make sure we reach across the table. So I love it here on this forum. I don't fail to attend one if I can help it. And it's just a wonderful gathering of people who are doing exactly what North County Equity and Justice Coalition is all about.
Thank you, and we're so proud to partner with you. So thank you for all of that, all the wonderful things that you said, and being a great neighbor. So thank you so much, a good neighbor. And it's so true, bringing us all together, different faiths, different backgrounds, with one goal and one purpose, to lift and support each other. So thank you again so much. And thank you guys. I'll stay on the call. You might hop off. I'm going to invite people, such as our one of our favorites. I can't say our favorite, but let's just say our favorite volunteer, Sydney, is Pitcher, who's done lots of our videos and done a lot of good, important work. So she'll be on the call. So and others. So I'll be on here to answer any questions. And I know, Sydney, you're working on a video, and Jay and I talked with you about that last time. Sydney is going to be doing a podcast, and we're going to be helping with that. So when you guys, yay, I know. So guys, when you have any ideas or other people that from the community that would like any support with us, just let us know, and we would welcome them to be here with us. We have, art, music, writing stories, any of the fun stuff. Okay. Thank you again so much, guys, and you're so amazing. So have a great night. I'll stay on until I see you again. Okay. Take care, and thank you so much. You're amazing. Bye.